Check it out now with Chunk Show Brother.
Hello people, this is a Chunk. Today I'm introducing a brand new Brick by Brick series. The map I'll be focusing on for this series is one I called Pulse in one of my preview videos. The map has a brand new name. The reason for the new name is that I'm planning to build the map around a pool or a spa theme. What I want to talk about in this episode is what I call a proof of concept. Essentially, I take one small section of my map and try to create a visual in Forge that matches the theme I have in my mind. This is my way of verifying that I can actually create the appearance I want before I get too far along in the blockout process. So let's dive into Wet Dream. The first thing I want to talk about is colors. If you hit X and then go to Map Options, you can actually set reference colors for your map. This is extremely useful because when you spawn objects into the game, most of the time they will spawn in with whatever colors you have set as your primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. When I'm setting up my colors, I put the primary, secondary, and tertiary all as the same color. So that way when my blocks or other pieces spawn in, I don't have to actually go and change the secondary and tertiary colors to have the block be all one solid color. So I've set the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors all to light blue. Then I figured out what other colors I wanted to use on the map, and I set those to the next reference colors. And even though my blocks won't spawn with this second set of colors, once you have them set up as reference colors, it's very easy to change to them because they'll just be the next color in line after your primary, secondary, and tertiary, so you don't have to search through over 100 colors to find the one that you want. So let's take a look at some of the set pieces I used to choose my colors. This map has several elevated platforms, and I wanted to make sure that they didn't blend in with the light blue. So I decided to test out a dark blue for the main part of the platform, and then kind of a medium blue for a trim along the edge. The next piece is these sort of arcing pillars. These are something I had in mind before I even started building the map, and unfortunately I wasn't able to create them exactly like I had hoped to. I was really hoping to make pillars that would be about 16 feet wide and maybe about 32 feet tall. But with the ring pieces that are currently available, I either couldn't make them look right or they required too many pieces to make them look the way that I wanted to. So, as is often the case in Forge, I had to compromise. I ended up using 80 by 80 foot ring pieces, which ended up making a structure that was much larger than I really wanted, but had the appearance that I was looking for. I knew I wanted this pillar to stand out, so I decided to go with somewhat of a lighter color, and I really liked how this lightish green color looked for those. Then I gave it a little more flair by adding dark blue blocks to the bottom and the top. And the last touch was the lights, which I gave a little bit of a bluish hue. Moving on to the windows. This is another thing that I knew ahead of time that I wanted to incorporate into the map, but I didn't really have anything specific in mind. I just knew that I didn't want them to be plain square windows. After playing around with different pieces, I kind of settled on these ring pieces, which are actually the same ring pieces that are used on the pillars. I liked the slightly oblong and curved shape that they produced. In order to make them look just a little bit more interesting, I took some of the Y trusses and put them in the middle of the window, and then surrounded them with some more colored lights. Finally, we have the pool. The pool is actually pretty easy to make. I just used a piece of clear blue glass and then used invisible lights to project the water effect onto it. You can project different images onto backgrounds like this by going into the object properties for your lights and then going down to Gobo and changing the settings on there. So for the water effect, I ended up settling on the Caustic's large setting. My next step was to create stairways down into the pool. I accomplished this by using, you guessed it, stairway pieces. Then I added some ring pieces connected to some long thin blocks to create something that looks like railings. The very last thing I did was to add some colored lights under the water. As a kid, I always had some strange fascination with lights that were inside pools, and I guess that fascination has carried over into Forge. That's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Later, people.